You weren't created on this earth, Danny, to be a behind the scenes person. You were meant to be in the spotlight.
Oh, don't tell me that. There's a part of me that likes to hear it, and then there's a part of me that hates to hear it because it's like the pressure. I don't know how people in Hollywood do it. I would have been Kurt Cobain in a long time ago.
You have such an important perspective on things and a way of sharing that information that makes people so comfortable. That was not made to be in the corner. Like, that's made
Right.
to be shared with people.
Welcome back to another episode of Things My Friends Say I Shouldn't Be Doing, the podcast where branding spirals, bad decisions, and chaotic nervous systems become the content plan. I'm your host, Danny. Some people call me a community manager. Others call me the reason the algorithm needs therapy. Either way, I'm here every single week, spiraling out loud, so you don't have to do it alone. And today's guest, she is proof that your brand arc isn't always linear. Sometimes it's backwards, upside down, but always iconic. She is a designer, a mentor, and who turned ignoring her friend's advice into a whole plot twist. Her tagline, do it backwards or not at all, but always on your terms. And honestly, same. She's here to talk about bad relationship choices, losing and finding yourself outside of a job title, and why the algorithm is basically a toxic brand manager that we're all stuck with. Please welcome to the show, Krystal Pratt.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, Krystal. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's start messy. Your friends said, don't stay with the guy. And then you got engaged. Been there, done that. How did that happen?
Oh my gosh. How long do you have?
I got time. I can talk, girl. I can talk.
So it's a messy story. We were together for a very long time. I'm talking 10 years. We started dating when I was in high school. I was thin, all the things. It was great. And at some point through that time, some medical things happened. Medication made me gain weight. And we all know, as a woman, gaining weight makes us lose that little bit of confidence that we had. So when the proposal came around, I feel like I kind of felt that this was it. This was my moment. It was now or never type of situation. And I think I knew deep in my heart that I didn't want it, but I did it anyway. And I figured out, luckily, before we actually went through, and there was a lot more mess to it than I am sharing, to get out of it.
Is.
And after the fact is when, my friends were like, well, we knew. And I'm like, why didn't anyone tell me? Even my mother. And I was like, why didn't you say something? And everybody kept saying, because it was your choice. Like, we wanted to support you. Like, and my response was, yes, it was my choice. And it still would have been my choice should you have given me your perspective. But I didn't have the other perspective to take into consideration because no one ever shared it. So yeah, at the high level, that's that kind of story. I stayed because I let insecurity get the best of me, until one day I had an epiphany and I was like, what the hell are you doing? You don't want this. You're not happy. Like, you don't deserve this. You deserve so much more. And the moment I made that decision, my entire life changed, from my career to my financial situation. to everything. And if you ask a friend who's been with me since before that, and I'm still friends with today, she would tell you she doesn't even recognize me. I would be two different people completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, growth does that. And I've been there, done that too, girl. I mean, I dated a guy for nearly 2 years that called my phone my sad box at the height of my career, making over six figures. And gaslit me into going into therapy, only for the therapist to tell me to break up with him. So, like, I feel you. I feel you.
It's so
Um,
funny. My therapist also said the same thing. It's not you.
how did it feel when you realized that your friends and your therapist and your family were right?
Um, I think I was a little angry for a moment because I felt like, well, if people would have told me sooner, maybe I would have made a different decision sooner. But now, being a decade or so past that, I know for me, I had to go through all that. Like, I had no
Hmm.
choice. It was part of my destiny. It was written. Like, I had to endure that. I had to go
Oh,
through
yeah.
everything because there are things today that I'm still learning and I'm it's like, oh, it's because I went through this. It's because I did that. I already know what that flag looks like. Run from that flag. That's no, don't do that.
Yeah,
And
I
there's other
absolutely
things,
believe that the things that you go through in your life and the lessons that you learn, they do shape who you are. Um,
1000%.
and I, like you said, your friend not recognizing you and being like you're a completely different person, that's popped up several times within my life where people are like, are you even the I'm like Taylor Swift. I'm gonna reinvent myself every so often. I get bored easily, okay? That's why I'm like, I'm not sure how long this podcast is gonna last. Maybe 10 episodes, maybe 10 seasons. Who knows? We're just spiraling with it. So real quick question. If your engagement was a brand campaign, what would the slogan be?
Oh boy. Talk about on the spot. If my engagement
Yeah,
brand
yeah,
camp
girl. We're like the Barbara Walters of LinkedIn. We ask the hard-hitting questions.
a brand campaign. So are we talking like we're pro engagement or
No,
not?
no, like your engagement to this guy. If this was a campaign, what would its slogan be?
Um, they're not red, it's more like pink flags.
And what did staying teach you about ignoring everybody else's opinion and still finding your own way?
What it's staying. It showed me how strong that I really am if I just shut up and listen to myself for a minute, that I already have all the answers that I needed. I didn't actually need their validation. And in sitting with myself in the quiet, I already made the decision. I just needed to actually get on and do the damn thing.
Fair. Do you think making a wrong choice is ever necessary to get to the right one?
1000%. You can't, um, sometimes you can't move forward until you've hit rock bottom. Sometimes you don't know what you want until you've done it and you're like, yeah, this isn't for me.
This isn't it. Yeah.
So you
Um,
have to make those wrong turns, those wrong choices, the things that you're like, why did I do that? You had to, because
yeah,
you wouldn't be who you are in this moment without it.
absolutely. Looking back, what's one red flag that you laugh about now?
From that relationship,
Hmm.
the fact that I knew he cheated multiple times with other people before we got together, like,
Oh, honey.
yes, I know I was a moron. I just had
Listen, we all
no
make dumb
excuse.
choices. We all make dumb choices. We could talk for hours on that. Maybe we will offline. But girl,
He brings the
I got
saying, once
stories.
a cheater, always a cheater, to an entirely new
New
level.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you think this story has shaped how you mentor other people, professionally speaking?
Um, I think it's helped me understand people from a perspective of feeling like they're stuck, of not trusting their own voice, of kind of knowing where they want to go, but not actually doing the work. And me being able to relate to, like, I get it. I've been there. And being able to talk them through that, like, you could know that this is wrong.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you're going to change that thing today or tomorrow or next week. It took me 3 months of knowing some information privately that I shared with no single other human before I left.
Yeah.
It
Listen,
doesn't happen all night.
No, it doesn't happen overnight for everybody. The relationship that I referenced, I mean, I was messaging my bestie constantly with like a play-by-play, and I'm like, I'm not crazy, right? Having full-fledged conversations with a trained professional therapist and still ignoring the advice of being like, we're done. So I get it. I get it. That kind of stuff really shapes you. Speaking of things that shape you, though, you also said that you lost your identity in your job title once. When did that hit you?
That was 2023-ish, between 2023 and 2024. That was a really, like, hard time of, I have busted my butt my entire career to get to, like, this one point. And questioning, well, without that title, I'm nothing then, right? And realizing that I built every waking thought around being better, working harder, working nights, working weekends, doing anything that was asked of me anytime, taking calls at 11 p.m. at night, because I had this dream of reaching a certain spot in my career. And I thought that I wasn't worthy without being in that position. So I did everything I could to get to that position. In retrospect now, I also know that's a lot of therapy unpacking to happen. But I had to truly, like, there was a moment where I was asked to do something that I did not agree with ethically. It was wrong. I was essentially threatened. And in a moment that I could have been weak, I stood my ground for the first time in my whole life. I went against everything my mother ever taught me. And I stood my ground and I walked away. And in that moment, because I lost everything I worked for, I was like, well, I'm nothing now. And it took so long to realize that they didn't take my skills.
Right.
They didn't take my background. They didn't take my brain, my creativity, my drive, my work ethic. I still have all those things. But the other cool thing is Krystal has so many other really cool things about her.
Right.
And about her life, and to offer humans in general, outside of work, that I am more than that title, that I could be a janitor and still have space and deserve that space in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's very deep. What part of you did you bury under your career for too long?
I think all of it. When you get to a point, especially in corporate, there's this part of you where you have to choose your work ethics or the company.
Right. And what do you
'Cause
think the biggest lie corporate branding sells us about self-worth?
oh, there's so many. I think corporate is always rush, rush, rush. We need more money. We need more this. We need more that. But the reality is most of the time, we're not heart surgeons. We're not saving
Right.
lives doing what we're doing. Like, if something's an hour late or a day late or somebody screwed something up, it sucks. It does. It really, really does. But like, the world is not going to end.
Right. Right.
And that's the way they treat it. And that's why people are scared to speak up. People are miserable, are burnt out, they are pushed farther than they need to go because everybody's acting like you need to be perfect
Mm-hmm.
and everything needs to be perfect. And the world is going to change if this one product or service is absolutely perfect. It's going to change everything. And we're going to be millionaires and the company is going to blow up. And it's not the reality.
No,
It's
it's
not.
not.
And like, I try to remind myself at least once a week, and I have to remind my team that we need jobs. We have bills to pay. We don't have a choice. But like, let's not pretend that we are doing a company a favor by working for them. And like, let's not companies pretend that they're doing us a favor by hiring us. It's it's a relationship where you are bartering a service for money and money for a service. Both parties are free to leave at any time they don't agree with the terms.
Right.
And I feel like people, especially in this economy, and trust me, I get it, I've been there, are so scared for their livelihood that they will give up their blood, sweat, tears, and ethics for a job who walks all over them. And companies, because they're taking advantage of it, will do the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not fair.
What advice would you give somebody who feels like they've lost themselves in their career?
Um, I think I would ask them the moment it happened.
Mm-hmm.
When did you let your career define your entire life? And give me 3 things about you that have nothing to do with your career that you love and that add value to your friends and your family's lives. Because those are the things that matter. No one at your funeral is going to be like, she was the VP. Nobody
Right.
cares. They're going to be like, she showed up when nobody else did. She
Yeah.
listened. She said this amazing thing to me once that'll walk with me for the rest of my life. That's what people are going to remember. They're not going to remember the title or how much money you made or the car you drive. Like, it doesn't matter. We put so much emphasis on like the materialistic things and the titles, and they're nice,
Yeah.
but do they matter when it comes down to the nitty-gritty of it?
Not really. No. No. If LinkedIn erased every single job title tomorrow, how would you describe yourself?
Mm, probably something like a creative being, because I'm just creative in every aspect. I love to write. I've written a book I hope to publish. I write poetry. I interior design. I have written songs. I love music. I love to create itineraries for adventure. I love to design. I love magazine layout. I love anything creative. I
Yeah.
love photography. So, like, if I couldn't be creative in any aspect, whether that's in or outside of work, I think I
Take me out of
myself
my
would fit.
misery.
Yeah, I
Just
would.
take me out of my misery. I was going to say mine would be like creative mastermind or something like that because like you, I'm very creative. And I like to think outside of the box and break your traditional rules and things of that nature just because it's creative. Um So a pivot here. You had mentioned in your intake form some of the things that currently have influenced your life. And one of the things that stuck out was something that I personally have also experienced in life, and it deeply shaped me as well, the passing of a sibling. And so I wanted to talk with you about that and ask, how exactly did your sister's passing shift your perspective? Because I know how mine shifted my perspective on things.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, you're gonna get me all emotional.
That's okay, girl. We'll cry together. My sister is the entire reason we're having this conversation today. I made the decision after her passing that I was going to live as full of a life as I could, including taking risks like starting my own business. My website was first launched on her birthday in 2015, so it was right after her passing. And I deeply got into like full-time freelancing within a few years of her passing away. So I would not be even having a podcast right now if that experience didn't shape my life. I had a lot more professional influences from that situation than I originally thought. Of course, it shapes your personality and the way that you view the world. But yeah, we wouldn't even have this conversation if that didn't happen.
So she was 47, very sudden, very unexpected, out of nowhere. And she was the reason I stood up for myself.
I get that. Yeah, no, it's okay. Take a deep breath. She sounds like a great person. Yeah, my sister was 33 when she passed away. It was also very sudden. I remember getting the call. My dad had had a heart attack the day before. And so I called home right when I got into work because I was going to go down to the hospital, which is right down the street from where I worked. And I called and my aunt picked up the phone and I said, hey, I got to work and I told my boss like I couldn't handle it today and that I was going to go to the hospital to go to the hospital. And she goes, well, which hospital are you going to? And I was like, what, did they move him? Because there was like another hospital about 20 minutes south from there, in big cities. And, she says, no, they have Kelly at the other hospital. And I'm like, and so, yeah, it was very sudden. It was very unexpected, and an already high stakes traumatic situation, and very, very young. And that kind of stuff does shape you. Yeah. My whole personality was shaped by her. Like when I was little, I looked up to her. I wanted to be her. Her friends, I wanted them to be my friends. Most of them I have kept in touch with. So at the end of the day, I see keeping up with her friends as keeping up with her and what her life would look like these days. Having those
Yeah.
conversations of like, hey girl, what do I do with my teenager? Because like I would have that conversation with my sister because her youngest is a year older than my oldest, right? And so I would be having those conversations with her, but instead I'm having those conversations with her friends. So it's kind of still keeping that connection and that tie together.
Yeah. So it's funny, like the parallels between your story. So the year that happened, my mom got rushed into the hospital to the ER. It was still during COVID, so like you couldn't even go in. And she had like a hernia, like a bad hernia. It burst.
Oh,
The
goodness.
surgeon called me and said, we're rushing her in immediately, like another few minutes, and she wouldn't make it. And although I'm the baby of the family, I'm like the person. My sisters didn't like live near me. So I didn't want to tell anybody anything until I knew more information, because I'm trying to, prevent other people from worrying and asking questions that I can't answer.
Right.
My mom, she did fine. She got out. She was home from surgery 1 or 2 days, and we got the call about my sister. And my sister was in Virginia, which very far from New Jersey. From the guy who she found, that she finally found love with, she went to sleep and just wouldn't wake up. So she was in the hospital for like 2 days, and they couldn't figure out like what happened. Like her body just started shutting down. And my mom, just out of surgery, wanted to go, and I'm like, you literally cannot go. Like,
No. Yeah.
you just had a major surgery. So she couldn't even be there, which, probably a good thing, because I think it would have been even harder to like be there. But she was the one who gave me the ability to stand up for
Yeah.
myself, because ever since that, I find myself in moments saying, if I only had as much time as she had left, would I be happy
Yeah.
with life, with
Yeah.
how I'm living? And if the answer is no,
Then I'm not doing enough.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that feeling. And, about those similarities, like, so my dad, the day before my sister's accident, so he had a massive heart attack. He died 9 times, like drove himself to the ER, died right there at the registration table. They had to like shock him and bring him back to life 10 times, and ended up with about, I think, 10% of his heart was still functioning afterwards. And so the next day after that is when my sister has her accident. And I will never forget the doctors telling us, it was like a bulletproof vest. It looked like a bulletproof vest. They had to put a vest on him that would shock his heart back into functioning in case, before we could tell him the news. And then also, like, he had to wear that vest. He was released solely so he could go to the other hospital to be there for her passing, but he still was wearing like this shock vest in case his heart couldn't handle it. And so like it was just one of those situations where we had learned and figured out that unfortunately she wasn't going to make it, and we're sitting here also wondering, is he going to be able to handle losing his oldest child?
Yeah.
And will we lose him too? So yeah, it's one of those experiences that kind of shapes you, and losing somebody at such a young age, it does shape you. It's something that I've talked about on a solo podcast episode that I have yet to finish editing and or I'm even sure that I'm going to publish. But it's a situation that's popped up in my life many times where I look at my life and I go, wow, wait, I'm now 6 years older than she would have been. I'm now 7 years older than my biological father would have been. Am I happy with where I am if that was all the time that I had? The new benchmark is like my mother. She passed unexpectedly at 60, and I'm like, ooh, you're pushing 40. If I only have 20 years left, am I happy with the amount of impact and or legacy that I'm leaving behind?
Yeah.
And when you look at it from that perspective, I think it's one of those situations that really kind of shapes how you look at marketing yourself, branding yourself, your career choices, your work-life balance. All of that stuff gets taken into consideration.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, I think that's the main thing. I don't want to leave this world without knowing I made an impact. Like, not because I'm your friend, not because I'm your daughter, like a true impact.
Yeah.
Not because I said something nice one day, but because something I said, something I did dramatically changed your life.
Changed
Your
your
life
life.
would not be the same without. Like, I feel like if I could do that with like a single human, I feel like my life, I did what I was here to do.
Well, I know you've done that with several humans. I've seen the receipts. So you're definitely putting out some impact. Remember, I wouldn't even be on LinkedIn still if it wasn't for you in the early days and the encouragement. So you have absolutely impacted my life. And you impact the lives of many people that you interact with without even realizing it. I think that's one of the things that I'm finding to be truer the more that I expand into this part of the Dannyverse, as I call it, the podcast recordings and more engaging with my community and audience, is realizing that my impact is a lot deeper than I thought it was.
Yeah. And like, I also try to make a point too of most of the time we don't know the impact we've had in people's lives until after we're gone. And how helpful is that? We don't know.
Not helpful at all.
So I try to make a point
Don't
of,
buy me flowers. Tell me you love me now.
yes, if you have done something for me or you've been there for me in such a way, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to tell you that now. Like, I want you to know now from me so that you don't ever have to question that.
Yeah. And so doing a little bit of a pivot into being the brand now, because I think this is a good segue into that. How did it feel stepping into your own voice after years of playing a role?
Liberating, I guess, is a way to say it. I wasn't writing for anybody else. I wasn't dictating someone else's thoughts, or they weren't dictating mine, should I say. It was genuinely my experience, my perspective, my thoughts, and people cared about that. They wanted to hear that from me, and my perspective and my opinions, not everyone may agree with, and that's okay. You're not supposed to,
Right.
but they're mine.
Yeah. It's a filtering system.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll talk about the algorithm as a toxic brand manager for a little bit. How do you define success online for yourself now?
I mean, it varies day to day. Some days I'm like, why are the metrics not going where I want them to go? And then I have to literally give myself a pep talk and be like, you're not doing it for the metrics. That's not
Right.
the point. You're not doing it for the numbers. You're doing it for the people. So I think I measure now between those private messages I get that say, hey, are you okay? Like, where are you? Is everything good? Those are the people's lives that I've affected enough, who I've never met in person, never talked to on the phone, who have reached out and said, hey, are you okay? Not asking for anything from me, genuinely checking on me as a human because we've connected over the value I've provided in other places and made a genuine connection that has preceded anything I could do professionally.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I completely agree there. What do you think your personal conspiracy theory is about the algorithm?
That that we're never going to figure out. We're never supposed to figure it out.
It's
It's
always three
always
steps ahead of us.
it's always three steps, and it's done that way on purpose. I kind of think the way the world is set up now is done that way on purpose. Like, you're never meant to really be able to get out of debt. You're never really meant to be able to truly afford the house or the taxes, just the same as the algorithm. You're never meant to really figure it out and master it. It's done that way on purpose, because if you mastered it and you figured it out, there's nothing else left to do. Like, you can now hack it if you would. You can share that information other people and then could do it, and then the algorithm people no longer have a job, no longer have a place in the world. I think it's truly done on purpose. So as much as we try to figure it out, the day you figure it out is the day it changes. It's like looking for perfection.
It's like
You're
gambling
never
in
going
a
to find it.
like gambling in a sparkly LinkedIn casino. You're never gonna hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
A wise social media butterfly once advised you that the people wanted to see your face card and to lean into the pretty privilege, which you did follow through with. But what went through your head when the selfie posts started to take off?
So it was funny because the day I posted it, I was actually traveling. So I posted it before I got on a like 6-hour flight with no Wi-Fi.
Ah,
So
smart.
I didn't even think about it. And then by the time I'd landed, the whole airport running through getting your bags, trying to get an Uber, trying to get to the hotel, get checked in. By the time I'd looked, I was like, what? This is LinkedIn. Why does anyone care what my face looks like? And it had got to be probably more comments on that than I had on any other post. And no, they were not all men. They were women too.
Mm-hmm.
And the comments weren't like, oh, you're pretty, because that's like the first things that you think. You're like, this is not Facebook. Like, why do people care what I look like? And is this going to take a hard left
Right.
and go down a whole other rabbit hole? But like, it didn't. It just gave people a visual of like who they were talking to every single day.
Yeah.
And it was weird. It was really weird. Like, I can't say that I'm comfortable with it still, but I did it. I tried it. It's an experiment. I know it works. I suggest you try it. I don't necessarily know that I'll do it often,
Yeah.
but
I mean, it's one of those things that you keep in your back pocket, but like, so I still stand on that advice because it does bring such a humanistic approach to whatever it is that you're talking about. We are creatures of the senses. If there was a way that I could have sparkly glitter gel pen that smells like love spell from Victoria's Secret come up on your computer screen, I would, because it's just an additional sense that I would be triggering. But visual senses are one of the senses that we can lean into on a social media platform. And so we should be, because speaking from a very primalistic standpoint, seeing somebody's face, seeing somebody's hands, it changes the game. It rewires your brain. If I were to hide my hands behind my back and leave them there for so long, after a while, you're going to start to get nervous. You're going to start to wonder, what's he doing back there? But if I'm talking with my hands, I'm not only showing you that I'm safe, because you can see that my hands are empty, from back in like the caveman days, I'm not going to attack you, but I can also, in a separate type of language, body language, convey what I'm talking about more.
yeah.
So yeah, the advice of utilizing your face and taking pictures or even being on video, even though I hate that myself, which is why this is not a video podcast yet. Because I also am like, I don't like being in front of a camera. I don't want people to think that I am like overtly narcissistic and like, care about what I look like. I just don't want to be on camera all the time. I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of person.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I'm working on getting over, is being a behind the scenes kind of person, because I don't think that my brand is really going to continue to grow and take off if I stay behind the scenes at this point in the game.
You weren't created on this earth, Danny, to be a behind the scenes person. You were meant to be in the spotlight.
Oh, don't tell me that. There's a part of me that likes to hear it, and then there's part of me that hates to hear it, because it's like the pressure. I don't know how people in Hollywood do it. I would have been Kurt Cobain in a long time ago.
You have such an important perspective on things and a way of sharing that information that makes people so comfortable. That was not made to be in the corner. Like that's made
Right.
to be shared with people.
I'm starting to see that more and more as time goes on and the older that I get, that like this isn't meant to be somebody or something that is behind the scenes, like helping somebody else achieve these results, so to speak. That I need to be more the person that's not only behind the scenes working on what we're putting out, but the person also putting it out. Because I've worked in the coaching industry for so many people for so many years that it's like I'm kind of tired of being behind the scenes in that regards. But I'm also in that messy middle period of like learning to get over the fact that I hate the sound of my voice and learning to get over the fact that like I don't want to be on camera. We'll get there. Maybe 2026 will be the better year for that, but we're working on it. Why do you think people wanted to see your face more than hearing your other stories? Why do you think that added more value?
I mean, personally, I don't know the answer to that question. From a marketing perspective, I know the answer. From a personal perspective, I don't know why anybody wants to look at my face and why they find more value in that. Like I truly, truly don't. But from marketing, yeah, like you hear this person talking at you all day. Well, not all day, every day, writing these things and you're commenting on them and you're having conversations back and forth. You want to see who they are in real life, not their posed headshot. Like you want to see like, what did you look like when you went to the airport today kind of situation. So like I get it from that perspective. It's the connection, but the personal of like me, why me, that I don't get. I will never understand, but I also don't know that I need to.
Yeah, I think it's maybe it's not meant for us to dissect. So let's talk about the conversations that people don't want us having. What's one conversation that you wish was normalized on LinkedIn? Or any social media platform for that matter.
Um, Work-life balance, the importance of mental health in the workplace and life in general. The ability to be a woman and you don't have to be in a relationship, be married, or have children. The ability to be successful and you don't have to be skinny to do it. Like, I don't know, where do you want to start?
That's a lot of conversations. Tell me about, so you had mentioned in your intake form a boss that made you question your existence, a previous boss.
Yeah. So, the story kind of went that, you're all important when you're doing what they want until you're not doing what they want. And all of a sudden you can't do anything right. You have sucked at your job the entire time.
Yeah.
But 2 days prior, I was the most amazing thing on the planet. And when someone has been praising you to everybody, including yourself, out loud, online, in meetings, in front of the company, and then all of a sudden they're like, you're not any of those things that I said, because you're not following what I want you to do, and you're actually standing up for yourself, that you're not trustworthy. When somebody has been that influential on your life and then they switch the script, you question it.
Yeah.
You're like,
What was the moment that you knew you needed to walk away from that?
I'm trying to remember the exact moment. It was, I think there was a question of, because I didn't tell this person what I was doing in my spare time outside of work.
That's none of your business. Yeah.
And it's kind of none of your business.
Yeah.
It never, and we're speaking on a freelance basis, To be clear, nothing
Yeah.
weird or wonky. I wasn't secretly doing a hustler's thing on the side.
No, but like even corporate freelance, regardless, if you're hired for a certain time frame for certain hours and certain days, what I'm doing in my off time is none of your concern. Sorry, I didn't realize that was part of the KPIs there, you know?
And I was made to feel untrustworthy because I didn't share that information. And when I was very vulnerable and told them, you know, that my financial situation as a single woman supporting herself, I needed to do that. The conversation sped to, well, why didn't you just tell me that you needed more money? And I'm like, who goes to their boss and is like, hey, I'm either gonna have to get a part-time job or give me more money? Like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And I expressed all these things in a very professional way. There was a professional conversation, but from there it went far, as I said, to like I was untrustworthy and a liar and a bunch of other things that followed that. And
It sounds extremely toxic.
it being on the other side, it absolutely was. And I think it was the right decision for me to say, you know, I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna just do freelance because
Yeah.
it
And
was it was don't call me a liar.
yeah.
It's there's so many things wrong with the entire conversation, but it it was also a very narcissistic person, right?
Yeah.
So
There's patterns. We see patterns.
100% patterns, but like I think my proudest moment was I got to sit in this meeting. I got to process prior, I got to play out both ways that this conversation would go. I got to go in my own head, worst case scenario. I had the time to do that. So when I walked in, I was the calmest, non reactive person that I have ever been in my entire existence. And boy, did that person try to push every button to get a reaction out of me.
Oh, and they can't handle it when you don't react.
No. It's so funny because they were doing everything possible. And at one point, when I knew it bothered them, they actually said, you're sitting there and you have zero reaction. And at that moment, I knew like this was no longer about me. This entire conversation, this entire meeting was no longer about me. It was no longer about the fact that I did freelance. It was no longer about the fact that I didn't tell you that I freelanced in evenings and weekends when I wasn't even working. It was about the power that you thought you held over me. And in this moment, I took it back.
I don't think it was ever about you.
No.
Always about that tipping the scales of power.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my next question, because I do feel like this happens a lot more for professionals of your gender. I do feel like I can, in some ways, connect with the ladies in regards to being mansplained and things of that nature to an extent. I don't think I'll ever fully obviously understand the experiences of a woman. But as a gay man, I have absolutely had men try to mansplain things to me the same way that they would a woman, and in professional settings have been treated very similarly to the way that women are treated by men. And so I'd love to ask your opinion on how you feel being a female in the workplace feels different than being a man in the workplace.
Yeah. It's definitely got its challenges. It has its benefits. It has its downfalls. You know, as a woman, you have to look a certain way. You have to talk a certain way. You're respected more if you look a certain way, if you dress a certain way, if you wear mascara one day versus you don't wear it the next. You are looked at differently of how you talk to your team versus a man talking to your team. It could look very different. You could say the same thing, but a man's way would be
Assertive and you're a bitch.
exactly 100%. So you're constantly dancing this invisible line of being respected and being heard, but also still being in your feminine energy, if you would. It's a challenge. It's not easy. It's not fair, but
Women
it
get
is what it
the
is.
women tend to get the feedback for saying the same thing that a man would say, that she's being emotional. And a man's not considered emotional, he's considered calculated. It's a business move, it's a power play. But when a woman says the same thing, she's too emotional. It's such a double standard.
Yeah, I think Taylor Swift's song The Man says it perfectly of exactly what it is. We could do the exact same thing and we're looked at 100% differently.
And it is a tiered system there too. Like, with my experiences, I've gotten that from straight men a lot in the workplace when speaking about something with the same level of passion. Like, I've had men in the workplace basically raising their voice and screaming, and that's not considered emotional. But bringing logical facts and speaking assertively with a higher pitched tone in your voice, because it's just naturally my voice tone, you're too emotional.
Yeah. So we have to work a little harder.
Yep, we do.
have to show up a little bit more prepared. We
Yeah,
have to show up with plan B because we know plan A is not going to be heard.
And you got to have plan C as well. And, I think the guidelines for women, more importantly, I'll step myself out of this part of the conversation, but the guidelines for women in the workplace, my entire professional career, I've seen, you have to look perfect. You have to outperform everyone. You can't complain about it. You have to smile.
Oh, and you have to do it in heels.
Yeah. You gotta do it in them sitting pretty shoes, is what I used to call those.
Yep.
Like the ones that kill your feet to walk around in, but might possibly look nice with what you're wearing.
Yeah. All while taking 3 ibuprofen to, take away the harshness of the cramps you're also dealing with, that it has factual evidence behind that no man could handle.
No
But
man can handle them.
are
Meanwhile, Chad's over here getting promoted because he can understand how to send out a calendar invite.
right. Exactly. Yeah. Being a woman in corporate needs its own like psychology done to it. It's not fair, it's not right, and we can only change it if each one of us steps up a little bit more and enforces change where we are. Otherwise, this is what it's going to always be.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about becoming the brand, and kind of go back full circle before we end our lovely conversation, which, by the way, I will have to say I've had a fantastic time catching up with you.
Yes.
Where are you in your brand story today? Like, what projects currently light you up right now?
I'm in my leadership era, I think, right now. There's something about helping somebody realize their own potential and realize their skill that lights them up, that makes me feel fulfilled. And I'm getting to do that every single day with my team. And that's really, really exciting. That's something I've always enjoyed doing and I've always loved doing as much as design. I'm getting to not just mentor them from a professional aspect of, well, this is how you would handle this situation. Like, I want you to grow, handle it this way because XYZ. I get to help them understand, okay, don't design it like that because you're missing this aspect of the story, or don't put that as your subject header. No one is going to open it. You need to go be a little bit more cheeky. We're allowed to be cheeky in this moment, and helping them realize what that line looks like, because it's not straight. And until somebody else believes in you enough to help you understand that that line is not actually a line, there's no line there. It's a line that was created for you, and you have to tiptoe what that line looks like for you ethically, creatively, and professionally. That is just, it's fun. It's exhausting, mentally taxing every single day. It takes every single ounce of energy out of you. But at the end of the day, you're changing people's careers.
Yeah, absolutely. How has leading a team changed how you see yourself?
Um, there are certain like conversations you'll have when you're like leading somebody through a situation or navigating something, and you'll be like, oh my God, it makes sense now. Like a light will go off of something about yourself that you didn't realize, or you didn't realize you had a tendency to do, that you still need to work on. So without them leading, I wouldn't know that. And I also make it a point, because one thing I hate about corporate, we get to, as leaders, review everybody all the time, every day, on paper. But who reviews us? Who tells us what we're doing well or what we're not doing well as a leader?
Right.
So I end every meeting with my team, and I have a one-on-one with every team member every single week. And I ask them, what can I do better as a leader to support you?
I love that.
I want that feedback, because I'm just a human. I'm gonna screw up. But my job exists to help you get to where you need to be. So tell me how I can help do it.
Yeah, I love that. I think the workplace needs more leaders like yourself. And I know that comes from a place of being in their shoes before and having workplace traumas and things of that nature. How would you say you're healing from past workplace traumas?
That's like asking how I'm healing from that terrible engagement.
Yikes. Okay, we
You
can
know,
move
like,
on.
no, it's you never fully heal from anything. It's gonna
Yeah, it
forever be
comes
a
with you.
living part of you.
Yeah, it walks with you
Yeah.
like the pain of losing a sibling that doesn't go away. It shapes who you are. It becomes a part of who you are.
The only thing that's different is you get to choose how you use it.
Yeah,
Will it define you, or will it fire you? So, you know, will it give you the fire to not settle, to stand up for your ethics? Will it give you the fire to live the full life that you deserve and chase happiness without a fault? Will it give you the fire to not ignore the red-sized banner flying in front of your face?
thought they
Or
were
will
pink
you,
flags.
yeah, like, will you let those things define who you are and remain a victim? Or will you say, it happened for a reason. I am who I am. And because of those, I'm living a happy, fulfilled life. And I'm going towards exactly what and where I want to be.
I love that. What practices help you protect your energy now?
I think it's kind of going back to that question. If I knew I only had a few years left and I looked at this moment, would I look back and be happy? Do I feel like something's missing? Do I feel like I'm living to my potential? Am I miserable? And I take the answers to those questions and I adapt accordingly.
Okay.
And
This
you
one
have to do that constantly.
I was going to say, this one may or may not be a hard one for you then. What does living fully look like for you day to day now?
I love that question because it's something that after that experience and going into freelance, I had to define because I felt very lost in my identity and what I wanted and where I was going. And no one else can answer that question for you but you. So you could ask people, you could go to therapy, you could beg the question, you can pray, you can do all of the things. But at the end of the day, you are the only person who can answer that. So I had to do a lot of soul searching to figure out like, what is living happy to me? And it was being able to do something I love, but with work-life balance where I didn't have to give up my soul for a paycheck, that I could live life on my terms and, you know, go on vacations and see my friends and make the choices I wanted to make and not date the person because I felt like I didn't have a choice, but knowing that I'd rather be happier alone than miserable with somebody just because society told me to. It's 100% ignoring everything the world tells you you're supposed to do and you're supposed to want, and just asking yourself, is it really what I want? And if the answer is no, then why the hell are you doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That's such a full circle moment for the end of our conversation today. So that does bring us to the very final portion of things my friends say I shouldn't be doing, which is the plug your shit portion of the show. Obviously, you didn't come and speak to me for this time frame, just for your health. I do firmly believe in allowing people to shout out where the listeners can find you online, where they can connect with you, where they can purchase your services, etc. So go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you.
So you can find me on LinkedIn. Krystal Pratt is the name. I also have a website, chrisprattcreative.com, and that's Chris with a K. That's really the main places that I hang out. There is a very inactive LinkedIn, also Chris Pratt Creative. Working on that. And then I don't know. Who knows what the future holds? Maybe there'll be a YouTube. I don't know.
It may be. Well, Krystal, thank you so much for coming on to the show. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. It always is.
Always, always. And that's our episode. This is Krystal, creative mentor, proof that the best brand that you can build is yourself. Go ahead and follow her on LinkedIn or check out her website. Of course, those will be tagged in the description below. As for me, I'm Danny, your host, your spiral buddy, your chaotic strategist. If you laughed today or cried or rage quit LinkedIn during this episode, here is your gentle nudge. Go ahead and like, follow, or subscribe. I'm told I'm supposed to be telling y'all to do that. I don't know, or don't. Honestly, it's your doom scroll. I'm just some bitch yelling into a microphone. We'll be back next week with another story that you probably shouldn't take as advice, but you definitely should take as content, unless I sell out, in which case, buy my merch. Love your faces. Bye.